Let's talk about the political polarization of global uncertainty. Are you guys ready to live in a third world type of scenario? Do you have the resources available to you as the prices of living goes up and opportunities to generate revenue goes down? We're on the cusp of a Cold War II and at the very worst, a World War III. For my Silver Tsunami course that I taught 2 years ago on brotherpolight.com, which is still available, I said after the pandemic, there will be war or something reminiscent to that of war. And now look at us now. 2 years ago, and I gave out a whole business plan, a financial outline, a black print that we could follow. So now I'm going to do a part 2, but that course is still available. That course is still available on brotherpolight.com. But damn. This is why I created the credit restoration opportunity, where you spend $2,000 and get access to anywhere between 100 grand to 300 grand in credit. You spend $2,000 and you get access to anywhere between 100 grand to 300 grand in credit. Why? Because soon, attempting to come out the muck and mire would be obsolete. Okay? And it's pinned to the top, brotherpolight45@gmail.com. Leave your full name and phone number when you're ready to make a change in your life. Because I'm telling you, you can just look at the gas prices right now. What you got to understand is, with a Cold War, that's when people use economics and politics, and they weaponize economics and politics. What do I mean by that? Sanctions is what they call it, right? So, hey, we're going to stop giving you access to some of our resources. But two could play that game. Russia could say, well, we won't give you access to some of our resources. So you may say, well, America and Russia don't get along that much. Yeah, but guess what? America still relies on them based on agriculture, fertilizer. America still relies on Russia based on precious metals. A lot of the precious metals that we use, titanium and the likes, is used to make ships, make planes. America relies on them for that. You got to keep that in mind. Even if we don't rely on them for energy per se, because our allies rely on them for energy and control a great part of the union, like Europe relies on Russia about for 40% of its energy. But they're allied with America, and it inadvertently impacts us. So if America says we're increasing sanctions against Russia, and then Europe is reliant upon Russia for its energy, and Russia sees, oh, y'all want to be allies with America, then we're going to cut you off, and then it impacts the global economy. And then when people are not sure how far this is going to go, or when it's going to play its major toll, or when things are going to get better, uncertainty, it creates what's called the political polarization of global uncertainty. The political polarization of global uncertainty. And what that does is causes the economic system or the economy world over to fluctuate in ways that people can't anticipate. And that leads to food inflation. That's when they give you less food for a higher dollar amount. So you'll get less in quantity, more in value. Okay, that's food inflation. And then there's less productivity, but extra money being produced or printed. So you're printing more money than there is productivity, and that's hyperinflation. And what in turn they have to do to polarize that experience is to lay people off, make the price of living higher. And all that impacts people that were already struggling or below the wealth line. That's what that does. If you were already below the wealth line, where they say wealth begins at over $150,000 a year for an individual, poverty begins at $32,000 a year for a family of 4, and $15,000 a year for an individual. And if you haven't even met the wealth line, of course, wealth is predicated upon you not compromising the integrity of your income to expense ratio. So just because you make over 150 grand per annual doesn't necessarily mean you're wealthy in the context that you can spend anything. So long as your expenses, income to expense ratio isn't compromised, then you're wealthy by making $150,000 a year. And then, of course, you probably want to apply the 50-30-20 principle, which is to invest 50% of your money on obligation. Put 50% of your money in obligation, like your bills, 30% on miscellaneous, but for social reasons, or sometimes it's a composite. Like you might need your car to go to work, but you also might want to use your car to go places, like to the movies. That's not necessary, but I mean, you're working to also have some kind of social life. So that's your 30%, and 20% goes into investments, credit, or I should say debt, investment, debt, and savings. Debt, the type of debt that helps you build wealth, the type of debt that helps you build your credit score. So there's a 50-30-20 principle that you're supposed to be able to apply, especially when you hit the wealth threshold, where 50% of your money goes to obligation, 30% through miscellaneous, and then the other 20% goes towards savings, investments, and debt in the form of that which empowers you, not just debt that causes you to die. Debt that empowers you, debt that helps build your credit. Okay? And so I create the credit restoration microwave, the opportunity to spend $2,000, which was $3,000, which is still damn near free. But people say, oh, why are you charging the people if you love the people so much? You're getting access to anywhere between 100 grand to 300 grand. You're also restoring your credit. And then those of you that say, well, I got good credit anyway, so just give me half off. You got good credit, but you ain't got no black card. There's people that I do this process for that have a 680 credit score and get more access per their credit than someone who has over 750. People with 750 credit scores still can't get access to $200,000. Ain't that crazy? But the problem is we don't realize that there's a lot of credit nuances and blockades that they've imposed upon us. Like one of which being credit card redlining, where they can't ostracize you based on your race, but they can alienate you based on your zip code. But races exist in clusters and zip codes. So they got a red line that they say if you exist in this area or you hit this red line on the map, don't give them credit, or don't give them much credit, or deny them credit opportunities. And so how do you get around that? Well, then I teach people to, open up a mailing address with UPS, because the credit bureaus interpret that as a domestic location or a business location. This is also why I ask people, do you work where you live, or do you live where you work? Why do I ask people, do you work where you live, or do you live where you work? Because then we add a positive item to their report. And this is another thing. People always want to remove negative items off their report for obvious reasons. You don't want no negative items on your report. The bureaus and these other companies, the CDAs, consumer data aggregates or aggregations, they go out their way to report to the bureaus about the things that's been going on and how you can't be trusted per your predictability as a consumer. And it lowers your credit score. But negative items isn't just it. You can also add positive items to your report, but it's your responsibility. Just like it's your responsibility to attempt to remove. Someone made it their responsibility to dry snitch on you and say you can't be trusted. That's your negative items. Your bankruptcy, you've been evicted, all that. It's your responsibility to let people know that you have good things going on that you should get credit for. And that's called adding positive items to your report. So one of the positive items we help you add to your report is creating a trust and retitling your assets to your trust, whether it be your apartment or your home. But I asked, do you live where you work, or do you work where you live? It's a very important question, because depending on how you answer that question, your home is now a workplace. Because if your home is just a house, people get homes, and the concept is to lose money when you get home. People get a business, the concept is to make money because it's a business. So turn your home into a business by retitling your home to your trust. It's all about the narrative. And then what can happen is you can write off your utility bills. Then your mortgage goes lower because it's not a mortgage no more, technically. or your rent is lower because it's a business. You can write these things off. So if it doesn't get lower, you get a percentage of your money's back, where other people are spending money on rent and mortgage and they get none of their money back because it's just a house. But if it's a business, you get money back. But anyway, that's another conversation. But in doing that, you're adding a positive item to your report. And just a simple change of address is another way of adding a positive item to your report. So if you're in a zip code, when you get a new mailing address, you get a new mailing address in a more reputable zip code, a highly reputable school district, low crime rate, where the median income is over $200,000 a year. After 2 to 3 months, they'll look at your previous mailing address, look at your new mailing address, and say, this person is still in that new mailing address? Because in that zip code, they're out of the credit card redlining area. And then now in an area where the median income is over $200,000, probably an extra $100,000 than where they used to live at. And shit, it's still working out for them after 2-3 months. Let's boost their credit 50, 60 more points. Good for you. You've managed to survive in another neighborhood where the median income far exceeds the wealth criteria, pales in comparison to where you used to live, and you still managed to be there for 2 months straight, 3 months straight. You're going lower 50 points. That's adding a positive item to your report. A new address, a new business. These are facts. So don't just worry about removing negative items. You're so busy playing defense. Where's the offense? Add some positive items to your credit report. This is Rolls-Royce Diaries. This is Rolls-Royce Diaries. Yeah. Rolls-Royce Diaries. We stay drippy on Rolls-Royce Diaries. It's part of the game. It's part of the lingo. You feel me? We stay drippy. And it's just material BS, right? But you can't fake success. You know, people out there, they fake astrology, they fake handwriting, palmistry, numerology, astrology. They fake a lot of things. Not to say it's not authentic science, but people fake it. One thing you can't fake consistently is success. You're not going to be able to fake that. But, I mean, hey, that's the free game. But again, what we do for you, when you pay $2,000, we give you access. So anywhere between $100,000 to $300,000, because it's your legal right. Why? Because it was a major breach that took place. And now if you send the right compendium, memorandum, affidavit of facts, they have to turn their head. And then when you put the right petitions forth, after that, after you hit them with that 3-piece combo, 3-piece combo, pow. After you hit them with that, then guess what? After you hit them with that, then guess what? Hey, I'm on the live. I'll hit you back after the live. So after you hit them with that, then guess what? You set forth your petitions. And now you're going to get access to the funds that you do. But how come I know that and other people don't know that, so it must be fake? It's always interesting that just because a brother knows something, it must be fake because other people don't know it. Because if a black person knows something, everybody's supposed to know it. If a white person knows something, then, you know, no wonder why it's a rarity. Well, unfortunately, a lot of times we went to school, the people that were specialists in very important subject matter like math and science, the specialists were foreigners who were our chemistry teachers and biology teachers, right? I had a Mr. Nissenbaum, Mr. Landman, and nothing but European teachers teach me all the critical sciences, right? And so as I got older, it felt a little weird when people got darker and they knew information that was in that genre. So it's part of the seduction. Make black people the gym teachers and the history teachers, and make white people the chemistry, biology, and mathematics, and sequential 1 through 6, and trigonometry, and SAT math. Not to say there's no black teachers in those categories. It's just very interesting, the ratio, the dynamic, how they do it. Still eating off the stock game you taught me. Thank you also, Ariton. Appreciate that. Feel me? And I give free information quite often. If you guys didn't realize, the first 20 minutes of this can already change your world. And you bugging. Shit has 0 black teachers. That's what I'm saying. So then when somebody comes my complexion and has some knowledge, nah, this shit gotta be lies, because why would he know and I don't know? Look how we see each other. If a brother knows, then fuck, it must not be real, because how come he knows I don't know? Well, I'll tell you this, from pre-K to 12th grade, that's 14 years of going to school. And in the 14 years you go to school, guess what? 14 years of going to school. From pre-K to 12th grade, they don't teach you nothing about credit, nothing about food, clothing, or shelter. You might have had home ec class and learned how to use milk to make a pizza, but milk has over 250,000 somatic cells, a euphemism for pus, and is allowed to have over 24,000 live bacteria before the Food and Drug Administration takes it off the shelf. It says it's not good for you. And milk is radiated pus. It's pasteurized process that they use to prolong the shelf life of the food through radiation. Then they say use milk and cheese. Eggs, milk and cheese, right? Because we're going to make this dough. We're going to make this pizza, right? But the black students are lactose intolerant. Your chemistry doesn't break down cheese the way other people of other ethnicities break it down. And whether you see bumps on your face, or whether your throat swells up or not, you're being implicated on a biochemical level. And it's impeding on your ability to think or digest food. And it has an accumulative effect that will impact you over time. Not now, but accumulatively over time. So yeah, teach the black students to add milk, dairy, and cheese to food. So home ec, it's not even teaching you about nutrition, not even teaching you about alkalinity, negative hydrogen ions, the pH scale. It's not teaching you about hair mineral analysis, CT scans, lipid tests. Fuck is they really talking about? So no, I don't care if you had home ec class and you learned how to make a damn pizza. It's not what we're going to be surviving off of as adults. That's going to land us in the damn hospital. Motherfuckers never built a pyramid in their life. Give you a food pyramid and you trust that, but they ain't built the original pyramids. Then they got you thinking Illuminati when you see the sun at the top of the pyramid, but that's our primary source of food. Hence the term, those are semantic, vitamin. Vita as in vitality, amen, or amen, amun, amen, the sun god, Amen Ra. So vitamin, you get your vitality from the sun. That's why one of the most important vitamins is produced upon sun exposure, vitamin D3. It's a trace mineral you can barely find in anything else on the planet. And if you do get it, you get it in minuscule forms. And if you get it through vitamins, man-made vitamins, you're only going to get 10% out of the whole bottle that you're really looking for. You got to use the whole bottle to get 10% of what you're looking for. Why? Because vitamin, vitality, amen, sun god. You get your vitality from the sun. You get your ability to thrive or live from the sun. So vitamin D3 is produced upon getting sun exposure. You get your most B12 around 9 a.m. to 10:30. Or when the sun is about to hit its zenith. Around the 4 o'clock range, B12 produced the most. These things are important, right? Because a lot of what you call ADHD symptoms, suicide symptoms, attention deficit disorder, extreme depression and anxiety comes from a lack of B12 or comes from being vitamin D deficient, more especially in the case D3, because D2 is from plants, D3 is from animals. But when we say from animals, oh, we got to eat animals to get D3. No, you are the animal. You're part of the animal kingdom, and it's produced by you having sun exposure. But most of you go to work, by the time it's time for you to get sun exposure, you motherfuckers is lunatics because you only get the light from the sun, which is not a luminescent body of its own. It gets its light from the sun. Therefore, you out in the night, you clubbing all the time, but you don't make a concerted effort to make sure you get the sun around 9 a.m. to 10:30 or around 4 o'clock p.m. You don't get D3. You don't get enough sun exposure. 90% of all Americans are D3 deficient. And then you wonder why we have so many school shootings and gangbanging. People are not getting enough sun, especially during quality hours, to get the sun spectrum. but they're getting plenty of moonlight, because then when you get your free time, you're out in the night hours. Because when you go to work, it's probably dark, and when you get off of work, it's probably dark. And if most times we only can get jobs of black people, we go in the city in the downtown areas where the buildings are taller and they skyscrapers, so they scraping the side, they blocking the sun. So even when you have lunchtime, you're not really getting enough sun exposure. So you're D3 deficient, 90% of Americans, and which causes anxiety, extreme depression, inability to digest food efficiently. You wonder why you're so damn angry or stressed. Stress, suicidal tendencies, attention deficit disorder, ADD, and all these other things. And then a lot of you, oh, you're lacking in iron. No, you might be lacking in B12, which helps you synthesize iron. And so if they keep giving you iron thinking you're lacking in iron, but you actually have iron, but your body's just having a problem absorbing it because you're actually B12 deficient, then guess what? You wind up with problems because now you have too much iron in your system. And that's why the therapist is the rapist. It's spelled the same way. Because they want to sit down and drug you up to make you become who they want you to become through conversation. But what they first should do is give you a hair mineral analysis to see if you're B12 deficient or D3 deficient, because the same symptoms that would make them prescribe psychotic drugs to you happens on account to you being B12 deficient or D3 deficient. So how about checking a person's mineral deficiencies first before introducing the pharmakeia, pharmacy. Etymologically, the word pharmacy comes from the word pharmakeia, which is Greek, which means sorcery or witchcraft. So anywhere in the Bible you see the word witchcraft or sorcery, you're looking at the word pharmacy. Hint, hint, wink, wink. There's no coincidence. And that's why your drugstore called Rite Aid is spelled R-I-T-E, which means ritual. They could have spelled it R-I-G-H-T, as in the correct aid, but they say Rite Aid, ritual aid, to give you pharmaceuticals, which is a form of witchcraft or sorcery. That's why our children are never the same after you administer the drugs. But let me get back to the political polarization of global uncertainty, and that is to simply say we're on the cusp of a Cold War II or World War III. Get your money up as soon as you possibly can. Why? Share this video too. This video impacts you. Share the video. Share this video. It's very important. I'm sorry I went off in a tangent and deviated so many damn times. I just like to flow, and whatever come to mind, just speak that speech. You know, talk that talk. But I definitely deviated. I apologize for that. $2,000. You email me at brotherpolight45@gmail.com when you're ready to pay and start the service. You don't have to call me and say, oh, bro, I didn't know you was going to call me this quick, because I thought you was going to call me like next week, and then by that time we'd have had money. Don't do that. If you put your number and your name there, expect to get called. That's one. Don't say, I ain't expect you to call this quick. I actually going to have the money next month. So I was going to call you next month. Don't do that. It's not necessary. If you're ready to change your life and prepare, because right now, things are getting worse. You're still in a pandemic. Money is scarce. The price of living is going up because of the pandemic alone. In addition to that, we're on the cusp of a Cold War. That's when they create political and financial blockades against each other as countries as part of the warfare to get other countries to bend at their will without causing bloodshed. And who are impacted the most are the people of those countries, because the price of living goes up. There's hyperinflation, there's food inflation. Less food costs more money. Okay? So I created the credit restoration microwave, not for this purpose in particular, but right now it's more important than it's ever been before. $2,000 gives you access to anywhere between 100 grand to 300 grand. Leave your full name and your phone number at the email brotherpolight45@gmail.com. Leave your full name and your phone number when you're ready to change your world and protect yourself from the ensuing economic strain that is coming before us. Just look at your gas prices and see how quick the gas prices went up from the first week of a war that's on the other side of the planet. Look how you're affected the first week. Soon you won't be able to afford to drive to go to work. won't be able to afford the drive to just go play basketball somewhere. The price of living is going up higher than they could afford to pay you. They're producing more money than there is productivity, which means the value of the dollar will go in decline. It's hyperinflation. You can get the same amount of food, but it costs more. Lesser food, and it still costs more. Food inflation. It's going to get harder. And soon, you won't have no financial opportunities to make money. This is going to be obsolete. Soon your whole thing is going to be, where's my next plate of food coming from? You think you lived hard in America. You don't travel a lot. Whatever you call living hard, you haven't seen yet. We got a touch of that for like 8-9 months of the pandemic, where we was on curfew. Can you come outside? Can you have a job? But even then, you wind up getting some kind of economic relief. It's trash, but you got some. But people are living in countries where there is no economic relief. You either have or you don't. It's the haves or the have-nots. We're living in that day and time. There's already a damn pandemic that we haven't come out of yet. And we're going to compound that interest with a war that is already impacting us financially. Which one's going to go up? Your wages or the price of living? Again, America relies on Russia for precious metals, inadvertently energy in the form of fuel, because 40% of that is part of Europe's drive to get fuel, and precious metals, because Russia isn't a part of the world where those precious metals are very valuable to us. We get it cheaper from them, and we use it to make our weapons and to make ships and to make planes and to make boats, which means it's going to impact the airline industry. Tickets will go up. People will have to get laid off as people can't afford the tickets or the ability to travel. Not only will people not be able to afford to travel, we've seen this through the pandemic, not be able to afford to travel, but then guess what happens? Then you got to lay people off, because then people are like, well, I'm just going to hold my money because gas prices are up, traveling is too expensive, and I just don't know where the next dollar's coming. We're not going to be in a position where we can irresponsibly buy expensive sneakers we can't afford. When people realize they can't afford shit that they normally didn't realize they couldn't afford, that's when you know we're in a problem. That's when reality strikes. When the same reckless people who spend money on things they can't afford, come to terms with reality. When the fools come to terms with reality, you know times is hard. And the fools are starting to come to terms. Get your money now. Come up with an escape plan and strategy. I actually got one. I'm breaking down big time. I have a major virtual lecture that I'm doing called the Silver Tsunami 2. Okay? It's major. I'm doing it in a few weeks from now. It'll be available next week for your purchase or pre-sale or pre-order. It's the Silver Tsunami Part 2. You go to brotherpolight, brotherpolight.com tomorrow. You'll see it on the website, brotherpolight.com. For those of you that want the $2,000 opportunity to get access to anywhere between $100,000 to $300,000, hit me at brotherpolight45@gmail.com. It's pinned right there. Always leave your full name and your phone number. Say that you're ready. If you're not ready, no problem. You don't have to contact us and say that I just want you to know I'll be ready next month. If you're ready now to make that change and also prepare for the inevitable. I'm not looking to be a doomsday guy, but I said this 2 years ago for Silver Tsunami 1, and I gave you the economic plan to prepare for this day and time. Now we got to prepare, because now it's been actualized. Now you see war. Now we got to know what window of opportunity that we have, because even if they go into peace talks right now and it's a kumbaya moment, with all the dirty talk that's been said, do y'all realize China infiltrated another sovereign nation right behind this invasion of Ukraine? The day after, China was like, okay, we don't fuck with America either. Y'all gonna have to pick which one of us y'all gonna fuck with. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. I wouldn't be surprised if Russia and China planned this, because you don't pull a stunt like Russia does without thinking 3, 4, 5 steps ahead. And all the dirty talk about, yo, if anybody get in my way, we're going to deal with them historically on a level that you've never seen before. The dirty talk. And then right behind that, China invades a sovereign community. Goes against democracy all over again. What they call democracy. Wouldn't be surprised if Russia and China say, yo, we're going to get the drop on them. We're going to have their head spinning. I just can't believe it's a coincidence China went and did the same damn thing that Russia's doing the day after. I just can't believe it's a coincidence. I'm just not that type of person. And because we have a very low cognizance of politics, many of us don't even know what the freak is going on right now. So you got China also involved with this shit. All right? And for all we know, this fucking virus was rigged anyway and created to set the stage for this day with this infiltration. Because first, like I said, it's a pandemic. I said this in Silver Tsunami. First it's the pandemic, then it's war. Because pandemics can be a part of warfare. And the way the pandemic targets older people, the way it targets people with diabetes or respiratory issues, it's an RNA virus, but it behaves so weird that that's for another conversation another time, and I don't want them taking out this video, so I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm just saying, I got enough knowledge to say this shit is a weapon. They've weaponized microbes, germs, viruses, and bacteria. They've weaponized it. So anybody that's in the know can see war coming from the pandemic. Y'all better wake up and start preparing yourselves. Because when the shit hit the fan, there will be no opportunities. You were sitting there fronting on the whole time. You should have been invested, but you didn't invest. But now that shit is scary. Let me invest. There's going to be nothing to invest in. There's going to be no job for you to get to save up the money to finally go into investing. Nothing's going to be available. Wake the fuck up. Wake up. Wake up. There's going to be a point where all the stuff you was procrastinating on that you should have been doing, and I'm going to just do one more baby shower here, and, you know, one more Christmas here, one more Black Friday. You will have no more. Wake up. Wake the fuck up. Pardon my language, but y'all out here in this fairy tale, and every time someone attempts to help you, you got these trolls out here that, yo, don't listen to him. And then you go to their page, and there's nothing but booty and ugliness all over their damn page. Mismatching damn clothes, corny shit. Like, you're not even a freedom fighter. What the fuck? Why you over here attempting to defer people's attention to you, and then you have nothing to offer when we go over there? So you hit me at brotherpolight45@gmail.com. I'm gonna stop before I get too turned up, because you're always taking my shit down. I didn't even want to use any vulgarity. brotherpolight45@gmail.com. Spend $2,000. We'll do the credit restoration, boost your credit scores. We'll remove negative items to your report, add positive items to your report, boost your credit scores, and then leverage our newly found credit disposition that we created for you, so that you can have access to over 100 to 300K. It's your legal right. We're going to make it happen. It's your right. No matter if you have good or bad credit, they've created the same blockades for people who have bad credit. The same blockades and more exist for people that have good credit. Doesn't matter. We have over 30 different financial institutions and credit bureaus that we have to communicate with to tear down the walls of the limitations that they created. And this is why some people have good credit and still can't manage to be empowered by the credit that they work so diligently on to be good. Because you can have good credit, but you have such a basic or a slim folder or slim file, you do so little in performance to show your predictability as a consumer. They have nothing to really base it off of. So why would they approve you of anything? Sure, you pay your rent on time. You need to. Sure, you pay your phone bill. Of course you have to. And you know you're doing the right thing by not making late payments. Cool. But if that's all you have to say for yourself, you ain't got much of a credit history. So why would you be approved of 6 figures? So we got to add some positive items to your report. We got to show that you can make intelligible decisions as a consumer. there's things that need to be done so then you could be approved for 6 figures. So believe me, a lot of you with the so-called good credit, you're in the same boat as people with the bad credit. Replay this video from the beginning. You can see a lot of the free game that it gave you. Make sure you share this video because, you know, they be playing games with me. I'm not going to go into it because this is their stuff. I did my best not to talk too much of the crazy talk so that hopefully they don't take the damn video down. But share this video while it's up. Or they'll probably take it down. Share it. Share this video while it's up. Because most of my credit videos, you look at it, is over 100,000 views, 250,000 views, or they disappear. I talk about health, it's definitely out of there. I talk about health, my page is in jeopardy. So I do my best to kind of stay away from that. Because the health I'm going to talk, we're going to get results. So hit me, brotherpolight45@gmail.com, to your full name and your phone number when you're ready. Let's get busy. Let's get busy. Let's make it happen. Let's make it work. Blessings in abundance. Real health, yeah, you already know. Trust me. They got the whole game rigged. They want your head and your mind saturated in what Kanye West is doing next. They want you to always believe that anybody that's black that has a message that can empower you is doing something evil or wrong. They'll always be in the comment section to create doubt. When you get off of that, you're going to have a pop-up for you to buy some sneakers. When you get off of that, it's going to be, yo, look what Yeezy is going through with Kim Kardashian. When you go through that, it's going to be so many different things that you got to, like, you just be befuddled. It's so flabbergasting how they have so much warfare your way that you don't even realize how bad the climate is no matter where you're living in the world. They don't even have you in a frenzy rushing to see how can I get my resources together and let me start preparing for the inevitable. You're still behaving every day like every day is regular. I go out and I party because people are totally oblivious to what's going on. People go out and they party because they're totally oblivious to what's going on. The two things are not the same. I don't want to lose my damn mind. So I go out and I party. I be like, motherfuckers is crazy. What the fuck are they partying for? What are y'all celebrating? You're not in a position to be celebrating right now. Get your shit together. But it is what it is. Blessings in abundance. Those of you that are ready, change your life, protect yourselves, protect your family. Hit me, full name and phone number. Never forget to send an email with your phone number. Full name and phone number, brotherpolight45@gmail.com. Yeah, Golden the Crisis, 9-stream. Golden Crisis class was fire. But this 9 streams income course is hella. I got you. Don't worry. Don't worry, I got you. Seen people die after vaccine. I hear you. I can't talk about it. I can't talk about none of that. We'll have our new class for 9-stream income this weekend, so don't worry about that. brotherpolight45@gmail.com is pinned to the top. Make sure y'all share the video. Blessings in abundance. You know, this is Rolls Royce Diaries. I'm too smart to be broke, and it costs way too much to be poor. You know, blue interior in the black thing. Come on now. You know what we doing. Never gonna catch me lacking out here. I keep success consistent. I'm too smart to be broke, and it costs way too much to be poor. I love you guys. Come into the know and realize things is kind of crazy out here. Blessings in abundance. Share the video. Share it and wake people up. Use all the information I gave for free to empower yourself. If nothing else, use the free information and get the ball rolling with the free information I give. Because every time I get on these streams, I make sure I give you some jewels that you can use in real time. Blessings in abundance. Ilufu.